traffic. Good morning, Brittany.
Good morning. That means Thanksgiving is next week, basically.
Exactly.
At this rate. But when you step outside, it feels more like summer. Temperatures already in the 60s and the 70s, and it's muggy with higher humidity. It is 73 in Central Park. Keep in mind, our average high in the city is near 74. Temperatures in the 60s and the 70s all across the map. 67 in Poughkeepsie, Montgomery, 66 for you, and 70 in Brookhaven. Still waking up to a few isolated showers this morning, mainly north and east of the city. Redding, you have a heavier downpour. Also heavy rainfall near East Setauket, Brookhaven, Riverhead, and Southampton that continues to track off to the east. And with all this moisture in place, there are some areas of dense fog. We're seeing most of that around western New Jersey and the Catskills and the Hudson Valley. Visibility dropping to a half a mile in Sussex and getting down below 3 miles in Poughkeepsie, and that could slow you down during your morning commute. Today, similar temperatures in the upper 70s, lower 80s, more clouds mixing in, and a chance for just an isolated shower, but most of the day will be dry. That all changes tomorrow. Thursday is the wettest day of the week. I'll have a closer look at the hour-by-hour timing in just a few. Heather?
And Brittany, let's take a look at what's happening here at the George Washington Bridge. It looks a lot better than it was about 20 minutes ago. It was completely jam-packed. We had really only one lane open, and that is because of construction. So they still have that construction out there, but it looks like they're slowly getting that cleared away. UN General Assembly expect road closures, frozen zones, delays. 42nd to 48th between 1st and 2nd. The FDR Drive between Whitehall Street and 42nd Street. You just want to avoid that entire area, and hopefully you have been this week. We have 9A north of North State Road. That's construction. All lanes are subject to closure. That will last until 6 a.m. And then you have Round Swamp Road both ways between Quaker Meeting House Road and Winding Road. It's the Ryder Cup, so all lanes remain closed down. Alternate side of the street parking rules are in effect. Pedro, over to you.
Brittany, Heather, thank you.
The fact that the man pulled out his phone and called the president. Still couldn't cross the
That just shows you like how serious they take it, and I think it's funny, but
100%.
yeah. At least it was a good day to walk around New York. If you're gonna go out at night and take a little stroll, it was nice.
Yeah, even this morning it feels more like a morning in July with temperatures in the 70s in the city, the 60s for the rest of the tri-state. Skies are cloudy, also very muggy, and we keep this humid feel lasting through at least Friday. It's 73 in Central Park, northeast winds near 2 miles per hour. And since it's so humid, we are waking up to areas of dense fog, especially around western New Jersey and spots north of the city. Visibility dropping below 1 mile in Moorestown, Sussex, Montgomery, and it's getting lower too in spots like Poughkeepsie and Danbury. So you might need a little extra time heading to work. Temperatures in the 60s and the 70s, at 73 in Newark, 71 in Islip, and 67 in Poughkeepsie. The dew point making all the difference in the feel. We're in the 60s. We stay in the 60s with a humid-like feel lasting through Friday. We have to wait until Saturday into Sunday for dew points to dip back down in the 40s and the 50s. With this leftover moisture and the disturbance, there are a few isolated showers after we had some pockets of rainfall yesterday. Heavier rainfall just south of Danbury near Bridgeport. Also east of Setauket, it's wet for you, and light to moderate rain in Riverhead and all across the Twin Forks that continues to slide off to the east. For the rest of the day, just an isolated shower possible, mainly dry, thanks to high pressure still close enough to fend off most of this rainfall. But that will change starting late tonight as this cold front gets closer, already sparking widespread showers across the Ohio River Valley. So this morning, a shower possible, especially for spots east of the city and Fairfield County, Suffolk County. Throughout this afternoon, we'll keep a chance for an isolated pocket of rainfall, but mostly dry, a mixture of clouds and sunshine, and temperatures, once again, reaching the upper 70s and the lower 80s. But watch what happens late tonight through early tomorrow morning as the disturbance comes in. We'll see more so scattered to numerous showers and rain turning widespread at times throughout the day on Thursday. So periods of rain and storms, some of that could be heavy, leading to ponding and localized flooding. Still wet in spots Thursday evening. Friday morning, a stray shower is possible, but it's not going to be as wet for the rest of Friday, with rain chances tapering off throughout the weekend. On average, rainfall totals could range between a half an inch to an inch, maybe up to an inch to an inch and a half in some locations through Friday. Hurricane Gabrielle is a Category 3, still a major hurricane. And even though it's moving away from the East Coast, it's still close enough for a high rip current risk that will continue to track well offshore. But we're watching two other spots in the tropics that could become a tropical depression very soon. Today, 79, mostly cloudy and humid with a shower in spots. Tonight, the upper 60s, still muggy, plenty of cloud cover and a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. Get ready for periods of rain and storms tomorrow. 75, just a wet and soggy Thursday. South winds ranging from 8 to 16 miles per hour. Still humid on Friday, but not as wet, 78. And this weekend, a mixture of clouds and sunshine. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, mainly dry Monday and Tuesday with highs near 73 to 75 degrees. Heather?
All right, Brittany, we're going to answer Wesley's question of why he couldn't cross the street. Well, we have the UN General Assembly in town, so it's a gridlock alert day. Expect road closures, frozen zones, delays, 42nd and 48th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue and the FDR Drive between Whitehall Street and 42nd Street. So that is the reason why, and you can see all of this activity right over here. Lots of cones. You just have police over here. It looks like we may have a bulldozer going on over here. So you want to avoid the east side at all costs. As a matter of fact, I would just say use mass transit if you're heading into the city. And then as you go into the city at the George Washington Bridge, that construction has been picked up and put away, but you can just see that you do have some added company across that inbound upper level. Alternate side of the street parking rules are suspended. Charlene and Pidger, over to you.
Brittany, September 24th. If you are anywhere on the east side of Manhattan, we are with you today. Oh. We are sorry.
Yeah.
Traffic is traffic.
It has been a nightmare. My husband works in that area. He's just like, it is a nightmare to try to get around.
Yeah.
That's why it's so essential, Heather. I mean, it's essential every day to listen to you. But if anybody's trying to traverse around town this week, they need to be hearing you.
Yeah. It's just, it's always this way. And I just don't understand why more people don't utilize mass transit.
Well, honestly,
do you think that the president of France should have?
Emmanuel Macron should have been watching us.
Well, I should have used mass transit.
And I'm not discussing the dignitaries. I'm talking about the people.
Like, I'm not.
Live in the city.
He's watching right now.
Bonjour.
Mr. Bajar, NTA, Subway, croissant, all the French words. It's a nice day to walk, even if,
At least we're giving them decent weather.
Yeah, so it is a little humid, but it's not too bad. Temperature is already in the 70s in the city. It's 71 in Central Park. Also the 60s for the rest of the area. Just a muggy start. It's 67 in Poughkeepsie, 70 in Bridgeport, and 62 in Toms River. It's partly to mostly cloudy, and we're still waking up to a few areas of rainfall, most of that moving across Fairfield and Suffolk County. Rain continues to taper off near Monroe, but it's wet for you. A heavier pocket of rainfall near Bridgeport, wet at Miller Place, and the Twin Forks that continues to track off to the east. With all this moisture in place, there are a few spots of dense fog, especially north and west of the city. Check out visibility in Sussex down to a quarter of a mile, a half a mile in Montgomery, dropping at East Hampton and Bridgeport, and dropping to all throughout the Hudson Valley. That could also slow you down for your morning commute. But today, a similar feel. Temperatures in the upper 70s, lower 80s. Those numbers are above average for this time of the year. When it comes for our chance for rainfall, just an isolated shower possible. Most of the day is dry. That all changes tomorrow. I'll give you a closer look at the hour-by-hour futurecast in just a few. Heather?
All right, Brittany, so let's go over where these closures are. And I've been talking about this for over 30 years, so I feel like you should really know by now where these closures are, the frozen zones, and your delays, 42nd to 48th between 1st Avenue and 2nd Avenue. That's really that concentration where you want to avoid. Even the FDR Drive between Whitehall Street and 42nd Street. Now, it's not just here because the dignitaries, they will be moving around, and as they move around, they will close down streets. It's a big headache. Leave the car at home if you can do that. Utilize mass transit instead. Here we go. This is how it looks right now where those closures are. And the George Washington Bridge still doing okay. Alternate side of the street parking rules are suspended for Rosh Hashanah. Back to you guys at the desk.
All right, thank you. Detroit at one point had a 12-game lead a month ago, and now they're kind of looking on the outside of the playoffs. A lot of teams are kind of roller coaster. Yankees are right now on the rise, which is great to see. So, and hopefully
Definitely love
the Mets
that.
gotta win.
The Mets too.
The Mets too. We're all about our New York teams now.
Good luck. Good luck.
And how are we doing? What's our luck looking like outside?
Well, good if you like summer.
I like summer.
Because it is humid. It feels more like a morning in July with temperatures in the 70s, even the 60s, and some of the cooler spots. We are starting out well above normal for this time of the year. It's 71 in Central Park. Northeast winds near 2 miles per hour. And with all this moisture in place, we are watching out for a few areas of dense fog, and this could be an issue for a part of your morning commute. Visibility dropping to 1/4 of a mile in Sussex, 1 mile in Poughkeepsie, getting lower too in Bridgeport, Danbury, all throughout Morristown. So just watch out for that as you head outside. Temperatures in the 60s and the 70s all across the area. Good morning in White Plains, 68 for you and 70 in Bridgeport. The dew point's making all the difference in the field. We're in the 60s. We stay humid through Friday. We have to wait until the second half of this weekend on Sunday to get that refreshing and comfortable air in place, but these numbers dropping back into the 40s and the 50s. It's partly to mostly cloudy and wet in some spots, primarily across eastern Fairfield County and eastern Suffolk County. Heavier rainfall in Miller Place, Southampton, Sag Harbor, all the way towards the Twin Forks that continues to move offshore. High pressure that's just off the eastern seaboard, but that will continue to move away. And now our next big weather maker is this area of low pressure and a front that will start to move east as a cold front. Check out all of this moisture ahead of that boundary, and that is all heading our direction. That's why tomorrow will be the wettest day of the week. When it comes to rain timing today, this morning, throughout this afternoon, just watch out for a chance for an isolated shower, but most of the region will be dry. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s and the lower 80s. Even this evening more the same. But overnight into early tomorrow morning, that's when we'll start to see periods of potentially widespread rainfall and storms mixing in. Maybe some dry moments here and there, but a pretty wet day with temperatures near 75. Notice some of the rain could be heavy, leading to localized flooding and ponding in some locations. Still wet Thursday evening, but by Friday, that's when we finally start to tap into some drier air. Rainfall totals through Friday could range between 1 inch to 1.5 inches, and maybe even some isolated heavier amounts. And hopefully that should help out with our rainfall deficit across the tri-state. The bigger picture showing this cold front moving offshore, and humidity remains high on Friday. Saturday mainly dry, but some of our models are trying to hit at maybe a few showers coming in on Sunday due to an area of low pressure. And then next week we'll be watching the tropics as 2 areas of low pressures could become a tropical wave. This morning, Hurricane Gabrielle, a Category 3. That continues to move away from the eastern seaboard, and still keeping an eye out for 2 tropical waves in the Atlantic. But today, the upper 70s, lower 80s, 68 tonight, tomorrow 75, periods of rain and storms. For the rest of the 7-day, mainly dry on Saturday and early next week, 73 to 75 Monday and Tuesday. Heather, a lot of closures to talk about this morning.
So is it a terrible day to walk around?
No, not bad. You
All
might
right.
just get a little, sweaty.
Yeah,
or,
okay, we can deal with that. Better than traffic, right?
Yes.
Yeah, don't want to get stuck in traffic today, and you will if you decide to take your car into Manhattan. This is how it looks at this point, where people are heading to the George Washington Bridge to make their way over into Manhattan. But unfortunately, we do have the UN General Assembly in town, which causes lots of traffic. So if you haven't heard about that yet, which you should have, you may want to think about mass transit. Round Swamp Road, both ways between Quaker Meeting House Road and Winding Road. That's the Ryder Cup that's ongoing, so all lanes are closed down. Bethpage State Park, that's where the Ryder Cup is happening. This is how it looks on Route 110. Not a bad ride for you at this point, but you may experience some delays because of people heading to the golf course, and we have street cleaning rules suspended. Back to you guys at the desk.
All right, best golfers from around the world.
Yeah, and the weather's got to be right, Brittany.
Yes, because tomorrow will be a mess.
You made the right call.
Yeah, we need the rainfall, but it's not great for golf. But this morning, temperatures in the 60s and the 70s. Skies are mostly cloudy. Feels more like summer again. Higher humidity, 71 in Central Park. Northeast winds near 2 miles per hour. So there are a few spots of dense fog. Most of this is across western New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, and the Catskills. Visibility dropping to 1/4 of a mile in Sussex, 1.5 miles in Montgomery, and getting lower in Somerville, and that's the main weather issue for your morning commute. We're starting out in the 60s and the 70s all across the area. 71 in Islip, the same in Newark, also 70 in Bridgeport, and 67 in Poughkeepsie. The dew point making all the difference in how it feels out there. Earlier this week, we were refreshing and comfortable in the 40s and the 50s, but now we're stuck in the 60s. We stay in the 60s through the rest of this week. We have to wait until Sunday for shower. Dew points to drop again in the 40s and the 50s. It's partly to mostly cloudy, mainly dry except for a few leftover showers, especially for the East End, Riverhead, heavier rainfall. Also a downpour near Sag Harbor moving towards Montauk as well that will continue to track off to the east. The bigger picture showing high pressure moving offshore, but our next weather maker is a lot of moisture surging ahead of this area of low pressure and an eventual cold front that will start to get closer and closer, already sparking around of heavier rainfall across the Ohio River Valley. When it comes to our rain chance today, most of the day is dry. Just watch out for just an isolated shower here and there lasting throughout this afternoon. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Similar coverage when it comes to our rainfall this evening. But overnight through early tomorrow morning, that's when we'll start to see periods of more widespread rainfall. Even a few storms mixing in, so wet in some spots for your Thursday morning commute. And we'll see off and on showers lasting through Thursday evening. Some of that could be heavy, leading to ponding, even some areas of localized flooding. Still wet Thursday evening, Friday morning. That's when drier air starts to move in, and just a chance for an isolated shower on Friday, so not as wet on Friday, lasting into Saturday. Rainfall totals through the end of this week could range between 1 inch to 1.5 inches, and maybe even the potential for some isolated heavier amounts. The bigger picture showing this cold front moving offshore. It's still humid with a stray shower on Friday, and by Saturday, partly sunny. Now, our model is trying to bring in some light rain on Sunday due to an area of low pressure moving on to the north. We're keeping it dry for now, but just letting you know that is a possibility. And later next week, we'll be focused on the tropics as 2 tropical waves could soon become a tropical depression. And still watching Hurricane Gabrielle. That's a major hurricane, but that's moving away from the East Coast. Today, the upper 70s, lower 80s, mostly cloudy. Just an isolated shower, very muggy. Tonight, more of the same, 68 with scattered showers and storms, off and on rainfall tomorrow. Thursday is the wettest day of the week. Grab the umbrella, 75. Some downpours and gusty thunderstorms also possible. This weekend, the upper 70s, and next week, we hold steady around 73 to 75 with a mixture of sunshine and clouds. So Heather, mainly dry but foggy in some spots, but not bad to walk around the city because mass transit is the way to go.
Yes, mass
today.
transit is definitely the way to go. And we do have alternate side of the street parking rules suspended. So you could just leave your car. You can use mass transit. You can walk around the city. And now let's talk a little bit about golf here. We did mention this. Round Swamp Road both ways between Quaker Meeting House Road and Winding Road. It's the Ryder Cup. So all lanes are closed down Bethpage State Park. So you want to avoid that area unless you are going to the tournament, or if you're playing in the tournament. If you are, good luck. Route 110 north at Bayless Road. We do have an accident. You can see police are on the scene there. So definitely try to avoid that. And then UN General Assembly. Yes. They're in town. Expect closures, frozen zones, delays, 42nd to 48th between 1st Avenue, 2nd Avenue, FDR Drive between Whitehall Street and 42nd Street, FDR Drive northbound ramp to 42nd Street closed. But don't kid yourself. Just because this is where the closures are doesn't mean where you're going to find all of the gridlock, because that could just spill over onto side streets. And we do have alternate side of the street parking rules suspended for Rosh Hashanah. Back to you at the desk.
I was going to play in the tournament, but they didn't give me a call.
They didn't get, oh, I'm so sorry.
Maybe next year. Maybe